Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video here. My name is Waste Potential, and today we are starting off a new series looking at all of the D1 college football stadiums in the NCAA. Starting off today with the ACC. A lot of nice stadiums, obviously a very competitive conference in the D1 space, FCS space. FBS space. We are looking at the FBS first. I will probably get into some FCS schools though, as there are a lot of cool stadiums in the FCS. Maybe we'll go past there, but we'll see how this series does first. Let's hop right into it here. First, we're looking at a Legacy Federal Credit Union Stadium, kind of a mouthful there. Home of Wake Forest, opened in 1968, capacity of 31,500. Pretty decent looking stadium here for Wake Forest. Exterior's pretty, but nothing too special. As you can see from this Google Earth imaging here, it does have a pretty nice jumbotron there at the one end. They have added like a facility on the one end zone side as well, but as you can see, just two walls of seats on each side, mainly bleachers, so you kind of have to subtract some points for that, but they are starting to add chairback seats in the center rows, and I imagine as the years go on, they'll probably add chairback seats in the whole entire stadium here, but right on campus, so you can't complain about it too much. Plenty of parking, and it's near student facilities and stuff like that. As you see with the big crowd here, it does look pretty nice, but that is the home of Wake Forest there. And then next on our list here is Gerald J. Ford Stadium. So we are seeing some new teams join the ACC here. Home of SMU, opened in 2000, capacity of 32,000. So certainly not a bad looking stadium at all either. Classic horseshoe shape, so you can't complain about that too much, because that's kind of what you like to see at a maybe not huge football school, but SMU has been competitive recently, so good for them. Nice big jumbotron on that one end zone. As you can see, it's right on campus as well. That's kind of what you like to see. And the facilities there look updated enough. Is a nice looking field. I'm pretty sure there was another field here before, so maybe I should have added an asterisk there, but the stadium was renovated in 2000, if not completely rebuilt. Not sure which one it was. As you can see with the crowd there too. Decent amount of luxury box seats, but that's mainly press boxes up there. And then up next here we have Wallace Wade Stadium, home of Duke. Opened originally in 1929. It's been majorly renovated, as you can see in the photos here. Capacity of just over 40,000. I like the luxury box seats here. Those look nice. And then they kind of have a deck area on top of the bowl of seating on the left side of this image here. Nice big jumbotron in the center there as well. And just overall, just a nice looking small stadium. Duke does a good job with all their stadiums and arenas, to be honest. This is another clean one. Obviously a program that's not filling this up every night, so it doesn't necessarily need to be, but they go ahead and take that step and they do make it a pretty nice stadium. Nice exterior as well, as you can see in the Google imaging here too. And then that's kind of how a Duke game normally goes. This is how it's usually filled up, unless they're playing a huge team and they bring a big crowd of opposing fans to Wallace Wade. But this is the home of Duke here. Pretty decent one here as well. Not all chairback seats would be my one complaint. There is quite a few bleachers in Wallace Wade. But up next here we have Alumni Stadium, home of Boston College. Opened in 1957. Capacity of just under 45,000. And this is a pretty boring one here. Nothing special about it really. Kind of ugly second decks on all sides. You really don't like to see that in the stadium. That could just be one lower bowl. Because, let's be honest, Boston College isn't selling this out every night. Just a lot of weird decisions with this one, and I'm not sure. I know there's a jumbotron here, but I'm not sure where it's placed at. Oh, there's just smaller ones on each end zone, so they're not very big. That's I have to take that just from a viewership experience. I wouldn't enjoy it as much, but the exterior isn't too ugly. And then I accidentally clicked on that, but up next we have the home of Syracuse, the JMA Wireless Dome. Opened in 1980, capacity of just under 50,000. This is a pretty iconic one. Obviously, people know they play basketball here as well. I did that in my ACC basketball venues video. You guys should definitely go check that out. But up top there, you can see it actually has a center hung video board, which I think looks really good. Even though it's small, just gets the job done. It's exactly where you need it to be, and it stays out of the field of play for players, which is important. but they do have video boards on each end zone as well. I thought this was a really cool picture here of it on campus, just really pretty, and I like how they renovated the roof there. I think that actually looks really good compared to how most of those, soft canvas style roofs can go. And another photo here on Google Earth, and as you can see, they do fill it up quite a bit, but I'd say this stadium is slightly too big, but they make good use of it playing football and basketball here, so you got to give Syracuse that. And then up next here we have Stanford Stadium. In my opinion, my least favorite one in the ACC. It's just kind of boring. And I put down below, originally built in 1921, so that was the original Stanford Stadium, but they pretty much tore that completely down and rebuilt it in 2006. Capacity just over 50,000. I mean, it's boring, but it's not bad at all. The way the seating is done is fine, and it's pretty much all chairback seats, decent amount of luxury box suites, and it's in a decent location. But other than that, again, I just don't find anything about it too interesting. But the exterior is clean, and the interior is well done too. The facility is perfectly fine and updated, but again, just nothing that pops out to me too much in terms of uniqueness with this one or tradition. I'm not sure. There's probably some stuff that I'm missing about it, but I don't know too much about Stanford football. Again, they were moving into the ACC as of as of last year, so I'm not super familiar with them as I didn't watch the Pac-12 much. Up next here, we do have Kenan Memorial Stadium, home of North Carolina, opened in 1929. Capacity of just over 50,000, and as you can see, it's pretty much all chairback seats, except for the one end zone. There are bleachers. This had a nice end zone renovation on that far end zone from us here in this picture. Looks like they did a good job, but they did add just a bunch of rows decks of seating. I'd rather them just add one big wall of it, but they also place a nice big video board over there. Plenty of luxury box seats here, and a nice looking facility on the interior and the exterior. I think it looks really pretty here, and it's right on campus as well. And as you can see, they pull in big enough crowds, but North Carolina's not outstanding at football, not as of recently. But they've had a couple good quarterbacks get drafted, high up. I remember Mitch Trubisky, and then we just saw Drake May this year, so that's good to see as well. And I like that chapel you can see in the background. I guess that is UNC at Chapel Hill, so that makes sense. Up next here, we have Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field, opened in 1913, home of Georgia Tech. Capacity of just under 52,000. I personally don't like the stadium, but I think the location is great, right on Georgia Tech, and you can see Atlanta from the stadium. I think that just overall looks really good. But decent end zone jumbotron there, and a decent end zone area with box suites there. This has a good amount of suites, but overall just looks old. It's mainly bleachers, just overall just shows its age for me. Odd second deck design up on that one end zone second deck too. It just starts to wrap around, but that's the only section of the stadium that does that. And overall just kind of a weird one here, as you can see in the Google Earth imaging here. And they don't necessarily pull in huge crowds here usually, but sometimes they will during some big games. But I thought this was a pretty cool picture here with Atlanta in the background. But up next here we have Carter Finley Stadium, home of North Carolina State. Opened originally in 1966, been heavily updated since then. Capacity of 57,500. Very little chairback seats here is my main complaint. But other than that, overall, great stadium build. Looks good. Not great land use with PNC Arena over there, home of North Carolina State's hockey team, basketball team, as well as the Carolina Hurricanes. But kind of a nice little layout there. At least they put the stadiums close together. But overall, North Carolina State's stadium, football stadium, looks much better than the hockey arena, in my opinion. That nice end zone building that's been greatly renovated, and then a really nice jumbotron at the end zone there. Just overall makes for a clean stadium. And up next here we have L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium, home of Louisville. Opened in 1998, capacity of 60,800. I think this just looks like almost like if there was a minor league football, if there was minor league football that was actually popular, but almost as popular in the NFL, I feel like this would be that kind of stadium. It's not quite at the NFL level. It feels a little higher quality than a normal college football stadium, but overall, it's a nice venue, but it doesn't yell that doesn't give off that great heritage that a lot of these stadiums play. It's not like a classic stadium or anything, but overall, really solid one here for Louisville. Plenty of jumbotrons. They started to add like a overhang for some rain cover for fans there. That one end zone shape, like I think that's supposed to be a Cardinals head. That's pretty unique with the Adidas logo there as well. Nice amount of luxury box suites. This is used a lot for events in Louisville. They don't have an NFL team, so they have a big stadium through their college team that gets used for concerts and stuff like that as well. But overall, really solid here for Louisville. And here it is with the big crowd there. They do sometimes have big crowds. I remember when Lamar Jackson went there. That was really exciting. That was an exciting time, and you'd watch him on TV occasionally. I don't live too far from Louisville, but I haven't personally been to a game here. But it looks like a really cool stadium and probably on my bucket list. And up next here we do have Scott Stadium, home of Virginia, opened in 1931, capacity of 61,500. Just a horseshoe shape with bleachers. This one's a really simple one. Boring one in my opinion, not a super good jumbotron at the end zone there. I'm not sure if they're updating that. Only thing I will say I really like about this one is that grassy knoll at the one end zone. But other than that, adequate amount of luxury box seats, but other than that, seating is not good quality, and the facility is starting to show its age a bit. And as you see, just nothing super special on the outside. But at least they have some tradition through this one, and some heritage, some events that are important to the school have actually happened in this stadium, so at least they have things of note, and you got to give the stadium that. And up next here we have California Memorial Stadium, home of Cal. Opened in 1923, capacity of 63,000. Really simple one, just a big bowl in the middle. Again, not super special to me because it's all bleachers. They could update that stuff, but at least this one has a lot of history, and I like the bowl design personally for college teams. I just wish it was all chairback seats, and they have small jumbotrons on each end zone, so you kind of have to complain about that. But at least they had an addition where they added quite a few luxury box suites and overall cleaned up the stadium a bit. But yeah, nothing super interesting to me in this one. I just don't have a lot of nostalgia with it, so I can't really say that much about it. But I know a lot of people who like Cal Memorial Stadium and are close to it, so can't really hate on it, I guess. And up next here we have Hard Rock Stadium, home of the University of Miami. Opened originally in 1987, but it's had a ton of renovations done to it, including a roof. It's pretty much a whole new stadium. Holds 65,000, and I'm sure plenty of you know this is also the home to the Miami Dolphins, and they are the primary tenant, so it really feels like this isn't University of Miami Stadium at all. So there's not really that much of a point in me talking about it because this will be on my NFL stadiums list. But at this time, they're hosting the Miami Open, so there's a ton of tennis courts around there, and there was actually a tennis stadium set up inside of Hard Rock, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, really, this feels like the Miami Dolphins home stadium. It doesn't feel like University of Miami, and I know a lot of people have been talking about University of Miami getting its own football stadium. I am kind of a supporter in that. I don't like all the land waste. I like the idea of using the same stadium for multiple teams, but at the end of the day, it's just not as exciting in my opinion. And speaking of that, up next here, first we'll get a view of it with at least a pretty big crowd. University of Miami is at least still a popular school, so they at least fill it up, but again, it just feels like the Dolphins Stadium. But speaking of not feeling like your own stadium, up next we have Acrisure Stadium, home of Pitt. I still call it Heinz Field. Opened in 2001 and capacity of 65,500. Overall, really pretty, definitely in the top half of NFL stadiums, but just isn't that notable as far as a college stadium goes, is because the NFL is the primary tenant, and the Steelers are just much more popular than Pitt is. Pitt's been a good program, the last 20 years, not that competitive, but good, and they used to have Pitt Stadium, which made it feel much more relevant in my opinion. Like, that's when Marino went there, that's when Tony Dorsett went there, so on and so forth. So that feels like they really don't own their legacy as much because they're playing in a professional team stadium, and it's of great quality. Sure, they have great food and great, other amenities, new technology as well. A nice big jumbotron near the river there, and then another one in the corner of the stadium. And overall, it looks really good, and it switches over to Pitt's field very nicely too. As you can see in this last photo here, it does, they can make it look like it's Pitt's own stadium, but at the end of the day, this is the Steelers' home, not Pitt, and they probably will end up deserving to get their own stadium as well. But I love the view of downtown from Acrisure. Very cool. And up next here we have Lane Stadium, home of Virginia Tech, opened in 1965, capacity of 65,632. Same problem as some of the other ones, including Virginia. Just all bleacher seats for the most part. But they have been adding some chairback seats here, and a lot of luxury box seats, so that you can give it that. And I like the way the seating is on. It's a little bit more interesting than how was it Scott Stadium, home of Virginia, can say. Exterior, I like this as well, and they do have a nice wall of seating on that one side, which I think looks good during game days. Reminds me of Beaver Stadium, but overall looks really good, and you can actually see the basketball stadium in the background of this photo, which I think looks good, and that is the home of Virginia Tech. Overall, a decent one. Up next here, we have Bobby Bowden Field at Doak Campbell Stadium, home of Florida State, opened in 1950, capacity of just under 80,000. Again, same complaints as the other ones. This is a much better venue. Nice jumbotrons, nice amount of luxury box seats. I love the way the seating's done here, and the exterior just looks great. But it's pretty much all bleachers, and they're metal bleachers too. That shit would get hot in Florida, so I can't say I would like it very much. But overall, very nice facility. Like, I love these exterior shots. It just looks really good. And then this last photo, for some reason, Florida State just struggles to fill this up, I feel like, but been a very successful program recently. But overall, this stadium could get a 9 out of 10 rating if it just had chairback seats. So that's all it needs going for it to move itself up in the order. And then rounding out our list here is Clemson Memorial Stadium, home, of course, of Clemson. Opened in 1942, capacity of 82,500, maybe better known as Death Valley. This one looks good. Same complaints about the other one. It's pretty much all bleachers, though. But I love the two walls of seating. The second decks look pretty good, even though I wish they were just straight walls. They did just have an end zone renovation, which I think looks good. Those clean, glass seating areas. And then a little bit of seating down on that one end zone as well. And then, of course, the hill for the players to run down on the other end zone, as well as a nice little jumbotron. That, I think, is the one thing that could be improved on the stadium. Other than the chairback seats, would be a nice big jumbotron at the one end zone. But overall, really solid one here for Clemson. Obviously, a classic. A lot of heritage that goes in with this one. So that's what you like to see in a college football venue, and they shouldn't change it too much where it loses that pizzazz. But anyways, guys, that rounds out our list. I hope you enjoyed watching. I really enjoyed making this one. I'm just happy to get this football series started, and I hope you guys continue to follow along while I'm making it. Please, if you enjoyed this one, if you could leave a like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And I will continue to make my college basketball series as well as this football series side by side, so keep an eye out for that as well. And again, thank you guys for watching. Hope to catch you in the next one.